Hey, yo, it's me, Pops Van Marmalade, and you're watching the Comics-Related Madness Network. Huh? So come get some. CromCon. CromCon.
Your favorite podcast, it's Critical Blast.
Hi, this is Tim TK, host of That Silverline Show on Tuesday. Join us at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific every Tuesday night as we discuss pop culture and the joys of making comics.
And I'm Scott Wakefield, host of Silverline's Wednesday Wham, where we talk about comic books and all kinds of great storytelling, sometimes with incredible guests. And we want you to join us Wednesday nights from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you there.
I'm Roland Mann, and I host Silverline's Silver Sunday. Join me every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern as we make mine Silverline. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Silverline Silver Sunday. My hair is a bit of a mess. I've been conning all day today, so I am a bit pooped. Looks like I'm a bit red-faced as well. Had a fantastic con, but I'll catch you up on that in just a second. Looks like we're running with a bit of a skeleton crew, but I've got messages that says they are going to be here, but be a little bit late. So we're going to get on with our introductions. I am Roland Mann. I'm the chief cook and bottle washer at Silverline. I'm wearing my shirt today. Oh, Barb, I like your shirt, Barb.
Yes.
That's a nice shirt you've got on.
I'm representing today.
So, and I write Cat and Mouse, which we sold a couple of copies today at Olo, and I write Trumps, and that's me. And Barb, tell everybody who you are.
I'm Barb Kjellberg. I am the CFO of Silverline Comics. I've been an inker for 30 plus years. I am inking Cat and Mouse, coloring Sirens, and I am the creator, co-writer, inker, and colorist of the award-winning
That's right.
Divinity.
Yes, the only award-winning book that Silverline has. We're going to work on that.
At the moment.
At the moment. We're going to get some more. Rolando Rodriguez says, what's up? What's up, Rolando? Thank you for joining us tonight. Oven says, hello, Silverline family. What's up, Oven? Joining us, jumping in here a little late, but still loved, is John, the Viking Prince Voltan Martin. And we got someone else coming in. Oh, he can't hear yet. Got to wait till it's connecting to audio. Say, what's up, Wubba?
Hey.
You know, Aaron, I'm sorry, you missed the introduction, so no one gets to know who you are. How's that?
Yeah, and he just cut
Okay.
so hot.
Yeah, I just didn't even realize we're all talking about COVID, so I didn't realize. Yeah, we're on the air. I couldn't tell if we're on the air.
Everybody
My
knows
bad.
Aaron anyways.
Yeah. No, I asked Wubba before saying anything on the air that he had.
Okay.
I made sure he was okay with.
Okay, because I came on, I didn't know maybe you were running late and you were talking.
No. I did ask if it was. I asked him if it was okay that I mentioned it, and he said yes. So
Okay. So then I apologize to the YouTubers for that slip of the curse word. My bad. I didn't realize.
Yeah, and it's one of my favorite words to use.
I know, everyone loves it.
Everything.
It does.
Well,
It's a universal word.
It is the most versatile word in the English language.
It is.
Language.
Did you ever see George Carlin's take on that? He did a little speech.
Oh,
skit
yes,
on that.
yes,
It's hilarious.
So you guys know how it is. You know, when you're at a convention, you're running at in overdrive.
Yeah.
And so that's how it was today. But it was good fun. We had a handful of comic book makers go to Crystal's afterwards. We grabbed us some burger. I collected on my gentleman's agreement from Martin Piero, who bought me my Crystal burgers tonight. Martin and I had a gentleman's handshake on who would fulfill our last campaign first. I don't know why Martin thought he would beat Silverline in fulfillment, but he did. He thought he would beat us, and he did not. So Martin bought my burger tonight. Thank you very much, Martin. I appreciate it. I appreciated the company tonight. It was fun. He was there with Heidi. Cosmic Times was at Olo as well as Luke Stone, who does Hybrid Travis Gibb was there. Travis just recently finished the Big Cthulhu anthology that you may have seen. I can't remember if it was on Kickstarter or Indiegogo. I can't remember. Did Gonzo's there. So yeah, we had a fun time talking comics, solving all the problems of the industry. And I know our topic today is professionalism in comics. Yeah, Brett, that's perfect. That looks great. You can cover up my, I'm just seeing the stream, cover up my face, but we can watch as the minutes tick down, and we'll keep an eye on the backers and the number there. Love to get to 100 backers. If y'all are watching this tonight and you haven't pledged yet, consider even getting one of the just getting the digital and get us up to 100 backers. So I do know that our topic tonight is professionalism in comics, and I do want to get to that, but big news this week. Marvel leaves Diamond. What's up, Tom?
That was kind of a bomb.
Yeah, I mean, this is big news. What don't you guys think?
I think it's
huge.
Huge. Yeah.
it's
So
a bombshell.
I've kind of made some posts about it already because it puts everybody's like, well, Diamond, they didn't completely detach from Diamond. I was like, yeah, technically they did, because Diamond has to buy from Penguin.
Yes.
In order to sell, in order to distribute the Marvel books. So technically they are detached. There's not books going to Diamond and books going to Penguin.
Yeah. Diamond's not making all that money now.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
And
so
this is why we are kind of, okay, I will talk to the internet audiences as a part of the indie community that's kind of excited about this because it leaves a vacuum.
Yes.
Yes. It leaves a huge hole. And Diamond has not been the best to indie books in the past.
They've been horrible to the indie market.
Yeah.
They've been horrible to the indie market. They've been horrible to the retailers.
There's no even like soft way around it. They've just treated the indie market like crap.
And if they are going to survive in any form, they are going to have to completely revamp their business model, and they're going to have to be a lot friendlier and more flexible
and more accountable for the stuff that they do. If they send books and the way they've shipped books in the past, if they continue to do that, they're going to have to take those books back, because they're the reason why most of the people are getting damaged books.
So let me ask you a question. Do you think anyone at Diamond knew this was coming, or do you think they were blindsided by this? Now, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I don't have inside.
I think for speculation, I think they got blindsided by it.
Okay.
Yeah.
They might have maybe had like a week notice or something, but I don't see Marvel Disney giving Diamond a whole lot of foreshadowing. They probably had it going, they probably had it going on, and then once it went through, they probably gave like a week or a few days going, hey, we're out.
Yeah.
Now, strange enough, I don't know if I'm asking you guys this. So does Penguin distribute the other Disney books, like kids books and other books that Disney produce? So then obviously, so from that, you can see maybe this is an eventuality that Diamond was the odd man out if Disney is going through a main. So it would seem like logical sense they would fold Marvel into Penguin.
Well, I don't think so necessarily, because even though Disney runs like the whole cinematic universe, they pretty much have left the publishing of Marvel alone.
Unless and you wonder if this is not.
Well, so let me get to one of the comments here, Aaron, and collect your thoughts there. So Benny Powell says, "Hey Benny, what's up?" And hey John. John says, John, we kind of skipped over the topic. We're going to come back to it, but John says, be professional, right? Talking about the job. We're coming back to that, but we're going to talk about this big news first. Benny says the basic terms are the same for Diamond and the retailers. You guys are missing what's really happening. This is step one of Disney offloading the publishing arm of Marvel to Random House and Penguin. So I'm not sure if Benny knows something that we're missing, but the idea of offloading the publishing to Random House and Penguin, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, that go ahead.
I wonder about the floppies, because do you think because they're part of Penguin that they might start changing how the format they produce the comics in, because Penguin doesn't work directly with comic book stores, or hasn't?
That was my first question. My first question was, okay, is this the end of the floppies for Marvel?
Yeah, that's what my first thought was, because graphic novels have you can get them into more places, and they've always, unfortunately, sold better. But I still think floppies are important. I don't know.
Do you guys think? Do you guys think it has something to do with Marvel putting so much of their emphasis lately in Hollywood and the films, and almost looking at their floppies as brochures and ads for their movies? And I mean, because think about it, the blatant disregard for continuity, the consistent rotating number ones, recycling number ones.
Yeah.
They're starting to care less about a cohesive publishing universe and more about, hey, whatever sells our stuff, whatever sells our movie. I mean, it's almost like they're advertising postcards for their movies now.
And
Does anybody else
I
feel
would
that
also
way?
follow up, Dean, with that with the brochure, that they're also using a launch pad, recycling number ones to see what sticks, and then whatever sticks, that's their next movie or property. So I see that too.
Yeah. Benny says that Diamond has confirmed that the terms are the same for them as Penguin and Random House. So and then he says, did you guys not get CC'd by Jeppy?
Once again, Jeppy don't talk to indies. Jeppy won't take indies under.
So okay, so if the terms don't change for Diamond, but here's the question. As John was saying earlier, so many people are ticked off at Diamond because of the way they handle not just indie comic, but the way they handle their accounts, the way they handle their books. Our retail and Penguin has confirmed free shipping, which Diamond does not. Diamond charges for the shipping. So if they can get this, if you're a retailer and you can get the same books from Diamond, the same books from Penguin that you get from Diamond, but Penguin will pay the shipping.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
I mean, isn't this why people use Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they've already told everybody to go ahead as quickly as possible. Go ahead and set up your account with Penguin.
Right.
For all the comic shops.
Yeah.
So I can see things. Penguin, I have a feeling Penguin's going to show Diamond how you're supposed to ship books.
If anything, I think it's going to force Diamond's hand to improve its business model.
Either that or it's going to leave a vacuum where somebody needs to step in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of my gut feeling right now, is that Diamond's going to have a need and a want for product.
Yeah.
And indie books have had to sell books without Diamond. And we have made money without Diamond. They've had a monopoly, and if there's going to be competition, now is the time to do it.
Right. Yeah.
Well, they got, because of, what DC did, now there's actually a budding distribution company coming up. The ones owned by Midway or whatever.
Right. Yeah. Luna or something like that.
Yeah, I did hear about that. That was for independent distribution. Independent book. Yeah.
Yeah. So so with that happening with Diamond, they're seated at the right time to actually be competition.
That's good. I miss the old days when we had a competition between Capital and Diamond. Capital, I loved Capital Distribution, not because I lived here in Madison with them and know the owners, but because they were good people.
Yeah. I love Cap City.
And they might be better for the whole comic book industry too, because then it'll give store owners more places to get books or order books based.
It also means that there's a chance for better discounts to the retailers.
Yes,
exactly.
Based on
them
order
survive
load.
it more.
Right, which is one of Benny Powell's next comment here. He says competition always good, but for the retailers, the live or die is based on their percentage discounts based on total order numbers.
Yeah.
So the retailers need those discounts.
Well, don't you feel like their negotiation leverage will be improved now?
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah, because and this is, and I think this is why competition is good, because if you're a retailer and you're with Diamond and you've been unhappy with Diamond, you can say, well, you know what, I always have the option to go to Penguin for my Marvel books.
Yeah. Because it's like there was nothing ever forcing Diamond to ever change its ways. It was like, well, where are you gonna go? It's like, but if you even think about a comic book, like a guy opening a store, a comic book store, that's got to be not saying it's bad, but it's got to be something like, okay, so I'm getting into a place I need to order books. There's only one place that orders books, and that's it. You're going into business with an already instilled monopoly. I mean, even that would make me nervous. Not saying it would be a deal breaker, but it would definitely be a place that would make me a little nervous.
Yeah. Yeah, because you have to, again, this is what, if you're a store owner, you're opening a store, the only path for you to get your product, or at least the bulk of your product for a comic, right, is from Diamond Comics.
That's it.
Distribution, right? That is your source. If you make them mad, if you get them on the wrong side of the bed, then you can't get your books.
Yeah.
Well, there's been times when folks haven't gotten their books anyway because Diamond has said, okay, we're going to sell this many orders, and then they end up going through and they end up selling too many. They end up selling more than they actually had. And it's happened more than once.
Yeah.
Especially with the speculation going on.
Yeah.
Once the speculation market started kicking up, Diamond was all like, all right, yeah. And then they're like, well, we'll get you the second print.
You're right.
And it's like, but I ordered the first print.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Diamond has not cared about the retailers. Diamond has not cared about Marvel or DC. All Diamond has cared about is how much money they are making off of everybody.
Right.
And they were making money on both sides. Hand over fist.
Yeah.
So if this opens up an opportunity for indie comics, which I kind of feel is what's happening now.
It's the only saving grace for Diamond, and they're gonna hate, and they're gonna have to kiss butt.
They're gonna have to eat a little bit of crow on this.
Yeah, they're gonna have to eat a whole lot of crow.
So what do you think? Independent comics need to do in order to jump at this opportunity?
That's a good question because so much independent comics is based on the Kickstarter Indiegogo model.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but most of those will satisfy people who are backing the book.
Yeah.
So, I mean, majority of indie people can't do large print runs. I mean, the fact that majority of indie people survive on print on demand, hence Kablam, some company I've heard of. But that concept, but if you go to Diamond, you're going to have to order. So it's going to be, it's strangely enough, it might put a little bit on the independent side to raise the money. It might end up, it would be interesting because would Kickstarters also have an idea of, they have retailer incentives, but would they also have to earn enough money to do a print run in order to be distributed by Diamond?
Well, here's an idea I have. Like, we can always do, like, I'm going to use Ron Polito as an example here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He runs his Kickstarter.
He makes a lot of money.
Insane.
Yeah.
But then he goes and then the books go to Diamond after the fact.
Yeah.
All right. Now, when it comes to everybody else, because not everybody's got Lady Death, you can still run your campaigns. And you can still do the books going to retailers through Diamond. What you'd have to do if you set it up properly is have Diamond a few months down the road before you run your print to do the pre-orders, so you knew how much to print
in order to fulfill the pre-orders for Diamond.
And there's a deposit has to be taken on that.
Yeah.
Up front,
because that to me would be the big.
And the deposit can pay for the print, and then everything else goes into the profit to be split between Diamond and the indie.
Yeah,
but that seems to me like you're going to kickstart it, knowing that you're going to try to get into Diamond. You'd want to kickstart it instead of like 2,500, 3,500 instead. So you have that extra money for the extra books.
Right.
Yeah. Because that's the thing is, like, to me, if I was to put my book out, I would have to have at least enough stock to possibly fulfill the orders that Diamond would get.
And the problem is that's a crapshoot. You have no idea what kind of orders that you're going to get.
I can print 10,000 to get 5 orders. I can print 10,000 to get 20,000 orders. I'm not touting my own horn, but you just don't know.
No.
Yeah.
But that also pushes Diamond into sitting there going, okay, we are going to need to push these indie books now, so we can make some money. which means they're taking some of the advertising load.
Right.
Yeah.
It's the onus is on them to push your books.
Yeah.
So that they
which has always been on us to push our own books.
I think the whole two-headed thing with doing, the campaigns in Diamond, I mean, that still pays off, because even if you only get 500 orders or 700 orders or whatever, that's still 700 more stores and more eyes seeing your book for the next Kickstarter.
I agree. And I think that's important. Benny Powell added, he has said, I'd be happy if they would spend some dollars on their purchase order and order system. Currently, we get purchase orders via ASCII text, and the reporting is atrocious. They're using 1980 technology.
Oh my God!
Yeah, that's nuts. And he said, he goes, I highly recommend Comic Impressions. We move from China to them. And he says, guys, the way I knew, and I don't know if you guys knew, Benny, I can't remember the name of his imprint. It's Giant 5, Red Giant, something like that. I'm sorry, Benny, please forgive me. But Benny is the one who does White Widow. Okay.
Yeah, I know that comic.
Yeah, I knew you know the title. I can't remember.
It looks awesome.
Yeah. So thank you, Benny, for showing up and participating here. He says he says the way we do it, and he says him and Polito, he said we create two versions. We have a Kickstarter version with more bonus pages and a retail edition with fewer pages and higher runs. So they do both. He said, but they're different animals. In fact, the Kickstarter is our biggest advertisement for retail sales. Oh, Absolute Comics Group. I'm sorry, Benny. Benny and I conned together 5 years ago. We were right beside each other, but this has been some years ago. And this is one of the things that we've kind of been talking about is for Silverline. One of the things that we'll do once we get and you guys know that part of my part of the reason we haven't gone yet is that I don't want us to. I think once we get in the catalog, which I'm confident we can do, I don't ever want us to have an empty month. Okay, I don't ever want there to be a month to go by in the Diamond catalog that we don't have a product. Now, I'm not saying that we need to flood the catalog with product, but I think that history has proven that retailers, if you are out of sight, you're out of mind, right? So once we start, I want us to go. To do that, I want us to have a finished series, right? So the idea is, and you guys, I've talked with y'all kind of a little bit about this, but anyone listening now, you've never heard this before because we haven't talked about this live. But the general idea is we'll start once. I'm just going to say month one because we don't have a month picked out yet. It just kind of depends on our production. We'll start with month one, and I'm going to use Cat and Mouse and Kalis as the first two because they're the closest to completion. So month one, we'll do Cat and Mouse 1. Month 2, we'll do Cat and Mouse 2. Month 3, we'll do Cat and Mouse 3. Month 4, we'll do Cat and Mouse 4. Month 5, we'll do Kalis 1, and then Kalis 2, Kalis 3, Kalis 4, right? And then maybe Cat and Mouse Trade, and then maybe the next series, Divinity 1, 2, 3, 4, right? But we need those series finished before we can actually start, because I don't want retailers to get issue 1 and then go, where's issue 2? Right? My customers bought the first issue and now they're looking for the second issue and it's going to be months. Well, we know what happens. They'll forget about you.
We are in the process of building our inventory.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
And we are this close to being there.
Mhm.
So, and once we get started, and we really only need a couple in the pipe, because if you think about it, guys, if we get 2 right in the pipe, let's just say Cat and Mouse and Kalis, right? That's 8 months just for, the 4 issues Cat and Mouse, the 4 issues for Kalis. That's 8 months, right? Now, if we add trades on top of that, well, that could potentially be 10. I'm not opposed to doing a trade with an issue, though, right? So if we could do like Kalis 4, we could do Kalis 4 and the Cat and Mouse trade. You know what I'm saying? So this gives us the lead time for these other titles to come in, wrap up, and then we've just kind of built, as Barb said, we built our library, building it up. So
how many titles do we actually have in the works right now?
Oh my goodness. You know what? I'm not real sure, to be honest with you. There's about a dozen though. I need to make a concise list, but yeah, I think there's about a dozen. So yeah.
I had a curiosity. I had a question for. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Webber.
I just got on issue 2, so So we're getting close to that issue 3 of the next run.
Yeah.
And,
right. Yeah.
Just
So I
having a
mean,
question.
and the thing about it is, Wubba's cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
And now that he's staying at home, he's doing he's doing 2 pages a day.
Oh yeah. micro pages.
Wubba's like, no, I said 2 thumbnails a day, Roland, not pages.
You also want to make sure you define what a page is, because he could send you back stick figures said you didn't specify exactly what you wanted. So it's a page, dude.
Well, I could do a page a day if there were like 90s image style pages.
So
Same.
okay, I got an open question for you
All
guys.
right.
You can probably answer this from the retailer's point of view. Do big Kickstarter campaigns influence the retailers at all? Do they even care? And also, as a secondary part of that question, do big Kickstarter campaigns influence Diamond?
That's the question I had.
Well,
and
we
actually had
never-
a question
I
for
don't-
Benny too. That does the part of the Kickstarter proceeds he get, does that cover the printing for Diamond? That was the one question I have, and I don't know if Benny's still listening. So, in other words, they fulfill the Kickstarter as part of the proceeds from the Kickstarter, covering the print run for Diamond, or is the print run for Diamond out of their own pocket? I was just kind of curious to see. Also, as far as your question, I think a Kickstarter would influence a retailer a little. The only thing is you're going to wonder if the retailer is going to look at the Kickstarter and say, like, well, everyone who wanted the comics got it through the Kickstarter, so why would they come into my comic shop and get it?
Benny
That's
says,
the only thing.
he says, yes, Kickstarter sales is what drove their sales.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay, then one more question in that same realm.
I'm not convinced that it affects Diamond at all.
Okay,
I don't
okay.
know.
Yeah.
But as far as retailers go, if to avoid the pitfall, okay, that Aaron just mentioned, you do a Kickstarter version and then you do a retailer version, right? Is it a cover difference or whatever difference it is?
Well, Benny mentioned that the Kickstarter version has more bonus pages, and the retail edition has fewer pages, just with higher print runs.
Okay.
But the only problem with that is you feel like, and nothing against Benny, but it almost seems like, are you punishing the retailer by putting less pages and giving the incentive to get on the Kickstarter with extra pages?
Well, yeah, okay. So,
and I don't know if that, but I don't know if you could just do maybe 2 different versions with 2 different things. So like, there's a different comic for retailers, different comic for Kickstarter, and maybe.
Well,
you know
so
what I'm saying?
let me toss this out to you, Aaron,
Okay.
and I know that Wubba probably easily Barb and Dean will remember this, but back during the day we did have okay, Wubba, thank you for I know you don't feel well, Wubba. We hope you feel better.
Thank you.
And 2 pages a day.
Feel better, man.
Feel better.
I'm just kidding, Wubba. Feel better, man.
Yeah.
All right.
Glad you jumped on.
See ya.
Yeah, glad to see you, man.
So keep in mind, in the late 80s, certainly we did Malibu did this into the 90s. There were 2 versions already. We had a direct market and we had a mass market. We had a direct market and a newsstand. Direct market and newsstand. Yeah. So
Different
if
covers.
you look back, yep, we had 2 covers. One of them had a UPC code. The other one just had artwork,
With
in
the
it.
UPC, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, I think the precedent is already there that a retailer gets a different version of it. I don't know that retailers care about care about any additional pages. Oh, yeah, Benny added some more stuff here. He goes, for our first issue, our big problem was we were unprepared for the massive response from Diamond. As a result, even though we did well in Kickstarter, sales through Diamond far outstripped what we had money for. So it did cause a delay. Ha ha ha. LOL. So we offer retailers the choice to order direct the Kickstarter edition at a discount as well. So they sell those also, and it builds the audience.
Okay.
So yeah.
Because I mean, you because you got a fan, but you just never know what order. I mean, if what the retailer is going to order. Because I mean, what was the traditional when you were back printing comics? Was it 10,000 or 1,000? What was your base to print a book? Maybe even through like Malibu.
So
like print run number.
Yeah. So so the Malibu print run for newsstand was about 100,000.
Okay. Much more.
Yeah, they it was about 100,000, and we had a sell through of about 18%.
Okay.
Which means that we sold about 18,000.
And
right?
then, yeah.
And the rest of them were just chunked. I know, sad, isn't it?
Yeah.
80,000 copies. Just
I still have a bunch in my box.
Barb's got them all.
I do.
He's got thousands of books. I saved them all. Barb's writing around. Save them.
Yeah,
I'm still selling my comps from Malibu.
Yeah, but see that was actually.
So I know who I need to talk to get the Nightman #1 from.
Yeah,
probably.
Yep.
So I mean, that was part of what the newsstand did, is that you flooded the market. The newsstand, you just sent them all out, hope that you sold enough that you could pay for your print run and make some money. And keep in mind too that at selling for printing 100,000 copies, you're getting those things for like 20 cents a piece.
Yeah.
Okay. When you print so many, you're getting them, the price per unit goes down, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
I worked in the print industry for 20 years, and that's exactly the way it works.
Yeah.
The more you order, the less it costs.
Yeah.
Because
so
even by selling 18,000, you're making much more profit because of the unit price that came down.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
You think, oh, I'm printing 100,000 but we're only selling 18,000. That's only 18%. That doesn't sound like a lot, but hey, that's 18,000 that you're getting. I think the cost back then was $1.95, maybe $2.25, something like that. And if you're only, paying 25 cents to print, even with your discounts to 50% and all that kind of stuff, you're making $1 a unit. So that's 75 cents. I can't do that kind of math. 75 cents.
Did you have a separate print run for the retailers, for the comic book shops, or was it with the comic book shop was 100,000 print run, including the newsstand and the comic book shops?
It was no, it was the newsstand only.
Newsstand, okay, because you had a separate print run for the retailers, for the comic book shop.
But because you were printing 100,000 for the newsstand, you still got all you did was kind of change the cover, right? And so you still got it for next to nothing.
Oh yeah, you just put in basically a UPC code.
You just had them put in a different cover. Benny Powell said, "I would never print fewer than 3,000 even now."
Okay. So 3,000 is minimum to cover orders. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
We had discussed here, I don't know when it was, we talked about a consortium.
Yes.
As an idea. For the indies.
Yep. And we talked about that as far as going towards Diamond and ads and stuff like that. It's been years and years and years since I priced an ad at Diamond. I think at one point in time they were like $1,000 for a page. Which, I know, right?
That's not in the budget.
No, it is not in the budget. Yeah.
Now, is that a full page ad?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, for $1,000, man, that double page ad. I mean, I know advertising is expensive. I know.
I would imagine, because their book is, I don't know. Their book is not going to be as big. But what we were talking about, Barbara saying, this consortium, if you can get 4-6 small press guys to go in, at 4, that's 250. Now that's still a lot of money for somebody like us to
that's in the budget.
That's possibly doable, or you split it 6 ways. I can't think of the math.
I'm the accountant, and that's why I'm saying that.
Yeah.
I pinch the pennies.
Yeah, Benny Powell says 3,000 is the sweet spot. He goes, but that's across all covers. So they print 3,000, but they can change the covers on those 3,000s, kind of like we're talking about the newsstand and the direct market. And he's pushing Comic Impressions here. One thing Comic Impressions does, they gang run the interiors on offset, and they will do digital covers for the small runs and save the plate change fees. Oh, that's cool. And he goes, no, I do not own stock in Comic Impressions.
When you're printing, every time you have to stop the presses and change over everything to
like
a new
plate
project.
Or something. Yeah.
Right. It takes time. It takes money. It takes labor. So the longer runs you get, the longer those just keep running, and you actually save money on the long runs.
Right.
Short runs are very expensive.
Yeah.
Because
they're labor intensive. You got to
Correct.
set it up, run it out. Yeah. And it's easier just to hit that button and go print out me 100,000.
Right. I spent
Or
20 years
3,000.
working for a print company called Badger Graphic Systems, so I got to know too much of this stuff.
Well, I know who's going to start carrying the label of the new manufacturing.
Yeah, well, I was an accountant for them, so that's why I'm your accountant now.
That's yeah. I know that when I was at Malibu, we had a guy that was he was a manufacturing, I don't know what, director, manufacturing manager. I don't know. I just knew him as Eric, and he worked in manufacturing. But he's the one who handled and dealt with all that. That's all he did all day long, was deal with the printers, make sure they're doing what they're doing. Check the quality of the print. He often got the blue lines, the proofs back in for us to check. So
the way you talked about him was like, it's this guy, manufacturing guy. It's like, yeah, his name was Eddie. We met in an alley and talked about print. Just the way you were like talking about it,
Yeah. Hey man,
I know this guy named Eddie. He'll hook you up.
But he says, right, and most of that is in the interiors. By doing the covers via digital press, which theirs is nice, they only charge $50 fee, set up per title, regardless of how many cover variants you have. So they run all the interiors on offset, and then they can just change out the covers.
So digital press has helped with the cost of variant covers.
Yes. Digital press is great. It's really been a lifesaver.
Okay.
And that's that's what's really been nice for us with Kablam, is that we don't have the press setup fees that the offset has, because it is all digital printing. We don't have to. Back when I did Silverline in the 90s, we had if you're going to do something color, you had 4 plates. You had to pay for all 4 of those plates.
Yeah.
Of course,
and a setup fee and a color match.
Setup fee, a color match, all that kind of stuff. But digital, you don't have any of that. And so
the printers, did the printers ever keep those plates for reprints, or would they have a certain time they would keep the plates before they crushed them?
You had to request they do that.
Okay.
I still actually have film that was unused for one of the cat and mouse books. I think I've showed it before on the stream.
For short runs too, you also get it charged for less than minimum.
Yeah.
And those are expensive. That's an expensive charge.
On offset.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think most indie people, like for me with my book, even when I was posting online without indie print on demand, I wouldn't be able to do this. I mean, I would, the minimum order is 1,000 books. I don't have the leverage to sell 1,000 books. It would take me a few years, but it would a print on demand, I think has, and that would be, and I think print on demand, that's why I was wondering how would Diamond deal with the print on demand? I mean, in other words, I think John was
doesn't care how you print it. They just, if they order 400 books, they want 400
Well, no,
books.
I'm talking about your end, just saying like, well, how many orders are going to come through Diamond? And you could think like Diamond's going to put it out for orders. And then, like we got 200 orders. Then could I go back and print 200 books right away and send it to them instead of printing an initial run, seeing what the orders are? In other words, using print on demand as it is. We got 200 orders in. Good. I fulfilled those. But would Diamond allow that? Like from the order, could you just reprint it and shit? Okay. That's what I was thinking. Yeah. Because then you can use print on demand to your advantage in that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think John was talking about that.
So this is a cover that never got used for cat and mouse, right? This is what you're looking at here is film. There is 4 plates, right? 4 pieces of film, and each of them represents a plate, right? So you got the cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, right? Now I have, just for fun, I have scanned these and put them into Photoshop and started playing with them. Oh, it looks so good. It looks cool, right? Yeah. But I've got an entire issue this way. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that'll be something we do for fun.
But even that, you see how much they had to produce just to print an issue. You're thinking they had to print 4 plates per page.
And there's a plate charge too.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I keep remembering all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember hearing about also color, and that was the Pantone colors. Like if you didn't use certain Pantone came from that factory. If you wanted to make up your own color, they're going to charge you to mix it.
Right.
And so I remember hearing that too.
Yeah, and that's why I still have my Jameson color chart, right? That I don't know
Yeah.
why. It's just that old habits die hard, right?
Yeah.
I've still got
Oh,
my my color chart that I used to keep on my desk when I was an editor, right?
Yeah.
You can see right there. You can see this is from The Office. My name's on it so that no one would take it
Nice.
off my desk, right?
Roll-ins. There were multiple roll-ins at your office.
No. But I had to. There's an apostrophe there. Right? So
How many roll-ins worked for Malibu?
I got a funny story about that. I had to label it so that no one would take it. All right, see what does Benny say here? So one of the reasons we moved to comic impressions. Well, he's selling comic impressions hard, isn't he? Amazing quality. Actually, I don't really like the. I've seen enough comic impression books. I think they're plastic. They feel plastic to me. He goes, and now that they have added their dedicated truck service, well, that's good at a discount that delivers right to Diamond. The Kablam cost, however, make it cost prohibitive to do with Diamond because you're only going to receive 40% of the cover price. Plus, you have to pay all your creative and shipping. We direct ship to Diamond all the time. Yeah, that's not. That's why I recommend so much the 3K offset minimum. Kablam can be great for small one-offs, of course, or convention specials. And yeah, I mean, I think my hope is, and I've talked to the guys at Kablam about this. My hope is that one day we do get enough orders that we're going to go and print offset, and that will be what we use to go to retailers, and then we use Kablam for our specials, our convention, because you can print one copy if that's what you want. We talked tonight. We spent after the show, we spent a good time talking about Kickstarters and different things that we could do for Kickstarters. And there was Stephen. Stephen, I'm gonna get your last name wrong. Holquin was there, and guys. I don't know what to call it. He's intending to open up a shop, right? But he's very independent creators. Like, I want to support independent comics. That's what he's all about, right? I see him whenever I see him. He's always going around to the independent and buying up stuff. He loves sketch covers. But one of the things that he talked about was some of the different things that you could do, and he talked about like tiers where you have like this limit. You just limited 5 copies. There's only 5 copies because you can price those pretty high because fans are going to say there's only 5 copies. Now, we've not done that. We've said limited to Kickstarter, but that can be just however many gets a Kickstarter, because no, you just say you do a tier where only 5 of these are available. And you have the special cover, and he said you can also still do the original artwork, because I told him we did original artwork. He said you can still do that, but you can have that tier where there's only, but once they're gone, they're gone. So I'm like, that's an interesting idea, and fortunately for us, we've got Silverline has got enough people who love comics that I don't think that the getting some. I mean, just look at our last couple Kickstarters. We got enough people who love comics. They're like, hey, let's make this happen. And there's not a lot of, well, I'm not going to do that because what's in it for me.
Scarcity can bring demand, and it can be kind of fun. I mean, I think this what comes in with the chase covers of like, I mean, I think there will always be something in the comic community of you owning something that not many people have, and stuff.
Sorry, Quentin said, I guess Roland is hiding tonight, so I'm going to shift over and to do like this very briefly. I can't sit like this.
Watch, I'm going to see Roland show up behind me in the chair.
Well,
hey.
I got the stream on so I can see what's there, and there's the Kickstarter is right here because Brett has. By the way, we've got 50 minutes to go. We're at 84 backers, 3,144. That now puts us 16 away from 100 backers. Come on, you guys. If you're considering, there you go. Barb's showing it right there. That's right. It's a glare. I can't see it.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on it.
Benny says you may want to see what they're doing now. By the way, I spent 3 months working with them on new papers and processes, so we up their game level. That's good. I'm glad because the books that I saw, and I'm not talking bad about. I mean, they were comic books, so but when I'm looking at them, I'm like, these feel like plastic to me. They they felt like you kind of scratch them off. You guys had that waxy feel. Like
okay.
I did not do that because it was not my book. I didn't want to put a great big waxy scratch down it, but it's kind of what it felt like. So yeah, my money making face. All right, Quentin, I did that just for you, man. But now I'm going to shift back over, because I'm still tired. Yeah. So yeah, Marvel Diamond. Any other thoughts here?
I
Brett,
definitely think it's going to be interesting to see what comes of this. I have seen some independent people already talking about taking advantage of this, which I'm happy. I think more the merrier, and I think it's,
I would love to see. I would tell you this. My dream is to see Diamond say, you know what, Marvel, if you're going to do this, we've already lost DC. We're going to embrace independent comics.
Yeah.
If you're an independent comic maker, and be the change, right? Because I will tell you this. I know I tell you guys this all the time on this train. One of the things that excites me in teaching my students, right? I have the traditional student and the non-traditional student. The non-traditional student, which just basically means they're not 18 and 19, right? What I love to see in the 18, 19, 20-year-old students is that they really don't care about Marvel and DC. They're completely different from our generations, right?
Yeah.
They really don't care. They get it on the big screen. So they're like, yeah, I don't really need to see Spider-Man. I saw the movie. I don't need the Avengers. I want, show me something different. Show me something new. Show me, ooh, that's cool. I don't know what this independent, and that excites me because they seem to be far more open to stuff that's not Marvel, stuff that's not DC than people of my generation. My friend, I mean, when I broke into comics, my friends would come up, oh yeah, Roll, you got a comic book, cool. Oh, it's a black and white, huh? Oh, I like color comics, dude. You're my friend. Buy the book, right?
Yeah.
And as sucky as this pandemic has been all the way around, the one silver lining it has had is that it's been great for indies. It's been a blossoming of indies across the board.
Yeah. And Benny's one of those. They their Kickstarter was incredibly successful, right? They just did gangbusters.
Oh yeah, White Widow does insane.
Yeah, insane numbers. So fantastic. I can't remember who the artist was
or is. Jamie
Tyndale. Yeah.
Tyndale.
Yeah, so good looking stuff, but yeah, so there's a lot of them out there who have proven that independent comics can do well on Kickstarter and on Indiegogo. They can find an audience. There are people out there still buying, and one of the things I think that Kickstarter and Indiegogo have proven is that you don't really have to Marvel and DC have such large print run expectations. Like, you don't have to have 50,000 buyers to generate an income, right? To generate a money for it. Now, if you could sell 50,000, great, but you don't have to have that kind of numbers to okay. He says Jamie Tyndale and Iwan Nazif. So yeah, and he says AT&T is offloading DC. I believe we will see them go to Simon & Schuster or someone, I would bet, and Marvel will go to Random House. Both will likely shrink their offering to something small and manageable. That will create a vacuum, absolutely, that must be filled. Otherwise, we will see a massive demise of retailers. And I think that's kind of one of the things I kind of wanted to circle back to, is talk about the retailers a little bit.
Because there are some retailers who totally will not 100% deal with indies.
They will not do it.
There are some out there that are awesome, like Jesse James. He's amazing when it comes. He loves indies. He loves comics.
Well, yeah, if they start backing away from the floppies from Marvel and DC, that's going to completely change the paradigm of how comic book companies make a lot of their money. And but I mean, we could fill that void by developing our own floppies, bringing that in that monthly. Because I do think, I think floppies are important because floppies, even though they're only a few bucks, one, there's a lot of collectability in them. And second, they're a month-to-month shot of comic good. It's basically like a drug needle, so they get in at one.
Here's a really odd situation for me, is that my local comic book shop really enjoys having me as a customer, because there's not a whole lot of professionals around here. But he refuses to buy books off of a Kickstarter. However, he said, bring me in as many books of yours as you want. I will sell them for you, put the money in an envelope, and hand the envelope back.
I would be willing to bet, Barb, and you should ask him this the next time. You should ask him, just have a conversation, say why. And I'll bet the answer is going to be because I don't want to give the money and have it tied up for months at a time. If you can hand deliver the book, he's going to give you money because then he's got the product that he can then turn it again to money. There's been far too many Kickstarters who haven't fulfilled.
That's a good point.
And I would be willing to bet. So I want you to, that next time you go in, talk to him about that.
Because I have to go in because I have to take him a stack of books.
Yeah, because I would bet that has something to do with it because, I mean, this is one of the big problems that Image had and even late shipping, but Image had when they first got started is that they would solicit a book for June and it wouldn't ship, and retailers would be, because they got their money tied up in product that they don't have. Mm-hmm. And that is not good for a retailer that's got a limited, cash available.
Right.
So Benny just pulled back the curtain, as he says, and revealed some numbers here. These are kind of blew me away a little bit. What's up, Dempsey? So he said, total circulations for White Widow. Number 1 was 75,000. Number 2 was 80,000. Number 3 was 85,000. Number 4 was 90,000. Number 5 was 92,000. He goes, that's a combination between Kickstarter, Diamond, direct to retailer, online, Shopify. Not sure what that is. I guess it's maybe just their website. Retailer exclusives, conventions, bulk buyers, Amazon and eBay. So here's the key, I think, behind that. He's not just saying this is what we do through Diamond, right? This is all of these, and there's 8 of them that he's listed, and those, if you were to take this and compare this to, and Benny's probably done it, I would be willing to bet. If you go and look at, Dean, our pal John Jackson Miller does the Comic Cron, it crunches the numbers. Of course, that'll be. I wonder if this will be interesting too, because they won't be able to crunch the numbers quite like that anymore. But he takes the Diamond numbers and calculates sales not sales to consumers, but sales to retailers. This would easily put White Widow in the top 20. But by the time he gets to number 5, 92,000, that's easily going to put them in the top 10.
Top 10.
Yeah. Because the last couple, I haven't looked in a couple of months, but the last a couple times I looked, there was only like 2 or 3 books over 100,000.
He said number 5.
What's that?
Benny answered.
Oh yeah, that puts White Widow as the number 5 circulation book. Okay, yeah, so there you go. James Hallett says, "Hey there, Bob. What's up, James?"
Do you think Kickstarter also is like for booksellers with Amazon, that Amazon was going directly to the customer? Do you think also retailers see Kickstarter as a sort of way of cutting out the middleman?
I think there are some who do. Yeah, I don't think all of them
and won't support that, because I can see that as a retailer, like, well, if I start supporting Kickstarter, I'm supporting literally my demise in a way, possibly. I mean, this is why booksellers. When I go into, I mean, I've talked to booksellers and bookstores who's like, I see a lot of people come in and browse my books and then go home and buy them on Amazon, which can be completely frustrating. Which seems really weird, because I'm like, well, the one thing I never got about that is like, now they have Amazon Prime, but at the beginning it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to buy the book here; it's a little more expensive. Buy cheap on Amazon. Yeah, but if you add shipping, doesn't it kind of equal out to the same?
Right. Yeah. But how many people have Prime?
I know. Yeah. So you're still paying for Prime. I mean, you're paying less, but you're still paying for it every year.
Yeah.
So, but I did hear a lot of the frustrations of like, well, you get these people browse our bookstore as a sort of shopping area for Amazon. And I wonder if they feel a little bit the same way with Kickstarter.
Well, that's why, one of the reasons why we give our retailers a discount.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they can get a huge discount from us.
Well, yeah, I think Kickstarter can actually be good for retailers and vice versa. I just wonder
if they will take advantage of it. And we've had a couple. Dean and John are both in the Memphis area. 901 Comics in the first Cat and Mouse Kickstarter we did. 901 supported the first issue of Cat and Mouse. we had, you know, in Orlando, we've had Coliseum of Comics, which has been a big supporter of our Kickstarters. You know, and in fact, I talked to the owner today at the show, and he said, "Let me know." He goes, "We want to keep supporting you guys." And what they do is that, you know, they get the retailer bundle, which is deeply discounted, and then they take those and they put those on their shelves for their customers.
Yeah.
You know, so
and I think it's a benefit because I think Kickstarter is used to help people raise money for a project, but I've always wanted of retailers, you know, because it's going directly to the customers. But then again, you think if the Kickstarter is popular and people missed out on the Kickstarter, they will go buy your comic shop. Oh, okay, I can go buy. So I think there's, depending on how you look at it, you can see it as a threat or a way to like, well, we could take advantage of this and really benefit.
And I could definitely see how there's a handful of retailers that are saying, "Hey, you know what? You're bypassing me and going direct to the consumer." I get that. I totally get that. Yeah. Oh, so Benny Powell says, excuse me, we've actually heard repeatedly that the retailers all have thanked us, saying that we saved their months. I can believe that with those kind of numbers. And he says the reason is that we don't undercut the retailers. So, and I think this is important because, you know, we don't either. And I'll get to that in a second. He goes, and we put on Front Street. These comics are cheaper at your LCS. Oh yeah. So you put right up front, you know, that, hey, you can get these comics. They're cheaper from your local comic shop. Which, yeah, I totally get. Jason, the Thought says, "Hi, good morning. What's up, Jason? It's evening here for us." Rob Davis says, "Hey, all, what's up, Rob?"
That's Rob.
So 37 minutes. We got 85 backers. We are down to 15 backers to go to get to 100. Come on, you guys, push us to 100. So
maybe get us up to 35.
Yeah.
3,500.
Yeah. But I kind of think if we can get to 100, 100 backers, that'll get us 35. But let's get to 100 backers so that we can get to 35. Shh, don't tell them that.
I haven't heard you mention Indiegogo at all.
You mean as an alternative to Kickstarter? We use Kickstarter, but we have kicked around the idea of using Indiegogo. Yeah, well, yeah, and actually, Brent and I talked about that tonight or today. Some Rob Davis said, "Do it 100." I agree, Rob. Let's get them out. We need 100 backers. Come on, you guys. Dig in. Even the digital copy counts. Digital copy gets us to 100 backers. So Brent and I talked a little bit. So Brent informed me tonight that Leandro, the colorist for Kalis, is putting the finishing touches on the last page of Kalis number 4.
Cool.
Which means Kalis will be done once it's lettered. So then our discussion came about, well, what do we have? Because I didn't know it was that close. I mean, usually he says, "Hey, I got this done. I got this." And I'm thinking, okay, it's about half done. But what? We're done.
Roland's always amazed. We finished a comic book? What?
Well, no, my problem was like, okay, wait a minute. The next Kickstarter coming up is in May. Dude, I've done. You can't do May.
Yeah.
Sorry. I've got May.
I know, but the Barb's like, and I'm like, we can't do May. I'm like, so we just kicked out some possibilities of things. Indiegogo was a strong possibility, and it is because now that we've got all 4 issues, we can do trade. We can go to Indiegogo with a trade. But my only hesitation there is like, okay, well, but what does that do to the people that supported us on Kickstarter by saying, okay, you got 1 and 2. Now, if you want the rest of it, you got to go support Indiegogo.
And see, this is one of the problems that we're running up against. Is now that we got so many titles, we don't have enough Kickstarter.
Yeah, there aren't enough days in our year.
Yeah.
Can you actually do concurrent? I know this, and I don't think this.
Yes.
Kickstarters and Indiegogos at the same time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no reason you can't. Now, what we would run up against in that situation is backers going, well, I'm backing here and I'm backing there. Now, I don't know how much of a crossover the 2 audiences are. I know that there's a good portion of people who back Kickstarters who do not back Indiegogos. I know that there's a good portion of Indiegogo people who do not back Kickstarters. So I feel, I could be wrong, we'll find out. I feel that there's enough difference between the two platforms that we're not going to have a lot of crossover. Some, yeah, of course. Yeah. Which kind of makes me go back to, I kind of feel bad because if we go to Indiegogo with the Kalis trade, before we kickstart issues 3 and 4, what's that saying to our Kickstarter people? So we've got some things that we've got to figure out for
I think we have to at least Kickstarter issue 3 first before we even go about doing the trade.
Yeah.
Could we do something as far as like just doing Kickstarter for the single issues, and when we do the trades, do Indiegogo for the trades?
Dude, that's the plan.
Okay. Yeah. Well, when I was even thinking
that's
of
where you got it from, Aaron.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm so 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
What do you guys like make comic books here or something? I don't know.
That is the idea. I think from everything that I can tell, there's a little more high dollar per unit on Indiegogo. These guys are not, they're not afraid to plop down money for a trade. Something that has a lot, and they'll plop that money for books that aren't finished. I think we've got the advantage of saying, hey, our books are done. Look, we've already kickstarted this puppy, and now we're coming to you for the Indiegogo version
and speaking of that, that's another reason I would think that retailers would really, really like our Kickstarters, is because they know the product's finished. Right. They're not going to be hung up with an investment that's not going to pay off for 6 to 9 months.
Right.
Yeah. You know? But I think some of that is, you're right, absolutely right. But I think some of that is on us to get that proof to them repeatedly and to show them, so that they say, okay, Silverline, we've been watching you guys for a year now, right? And this is why, I've tried to say in our videos, hey, we're 9 for 9, right? And once we finish this one, we're going to be 10 for 10.
Far, it's company policy to have the book finished before we go.
Yeah, and I am not feeling the least little bit inclined to do it otherwise.
Neither
Even though, there's someone who asked me, hey, can we go ahead and do this? I'm like, no, I'm not comfortable with that. No, I don't want to do that. This is for for a book that wasn't finished. And I said, nah, I'm not. I'm finish the book, then let's talk about it, right?
Yeah, because we've got a reputation now.
Yes, exactly. And I am, as collectively, I don't think we're willing to risk that, because even if you're like, oh, you know what, we got 2 weeks, I can finish that. I hear you. The best of intentions, right? The best laid plans of mice and men. You never know what's going to happen. And your 2 weeks, something happens. Your 2 weeks is going to be blown. Suddenly, we don't have a book, and there it is, right?
I mean, I heard people in the 90s, there's some, not gonna name any names, but some creators who are like, why are your books late? Because I was playing video games. So I mean, it was kind of like, so in those 2 weeks, like, what if a video game comes out, and then
I'm gonna do a little cross post here and talk about that and professionalism, and saying that was one of the things about professionalism is to always be on time.
Yeah.
And that's when I was working full-time in comics, I inked 2 books a month for 12 years, and I never missed a single deadline ever.
And it's usually, it's funny because in most other parts of the art community, deadlines are taken very seriously, and in comics, this is more of the 90s, where like deadlines, well, it's a personal goal. Hopefully we could, it's like, it's not really a set in stone. It's kind of like when you watch people run stop signs, like, yeah, stop sign is more of a suggestion than a command, right? And but yeah, I do find it funny that we did start the night's topic on professionalism off with me dropping the F-bomb in the first part of the video. So I hope that doesn't paint us as not professional. That's like, wow, I picked the perfect video to make that mess up. My bad.
So hey guys, you want to call an audible? I know that I think we've got a review, but I think we're on a roll. You guys want to skip the review for tonight and just keep rolling?
Yeah, I'm having fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
It ran on it. You don't? Okay. If we had one, it ran on Wednesday, so it's not like we're not gonna do it at all. So yeah, let's keep rolling. So let's make that, because it's 10:15 already. Let's make that move into professionalism. So talk about being late.
Well, I had one penciler that was consistently late and kept getting later and later, and until they eventually brought in fill-in pencilers. I still inked the entire series, but when I called him, and I was like, "Where's my pages?" And he was like, "I'm just not really feeling it today." And I was like,
So
yeah,
maybe you guys can answer this for me, because this is a question that I ponder frequently. What is it about comics that allows that attitude, right? So if you're a carpenter, you can't get up and say, "Well, I'm not really feel like carpenting today, so I'm not gonna go hammer nails. I don't feel like it. I don't
the
feel
spirit isn't moving me.
Right,
today.
yeah. Or whatever, fill in the blank job. No other job is that way.
My muse has gone walkabout.
Why is it that there's so many comic book people that are like, I just feel I'm not feeling it today.
Why does society look at being a comic book artist is not really a real job? That could be it too. That's the next question. Is okay if they go, I'm not feeling it. Well, society tells you, well, you're an artist. It's a talent. You shouldn't be trying to get paid doing this. You should do it for people for free. It's not a job. You can't make a career out of that. Well, I can't tell you how many times I've heard that.
I think because a lot of people associate work with doing something you don't want to do. So if you're doing something you want to do as work, well, then you're not really working. It's your passion, right? I've heard that a ton.
Here's another thing to consider along that lines is that if you're a painter, you don't get paid until you've finished the painting. So
right, yeah.
So there's a strange thing about comics. It has a cult of personality. So painters, I don't think I've ever seen a painter have a line of fans all the way around the block to get their autograph. But comic book artists do, and it goes to their heads. We're media based, and anything in the media, whether it's music or TV or movies or comic books, has a tendency to attract fans, and those fans can inflate your ego. Unlike the painter who toils away in their studio and then puts it in a gallery and hopes to God that they sell it.
Right.
And so some artists can get to the point where like, well, I'm important enough that I don't have to make this deadline. It can get to that point.
And I don't know,
they'll wait for it.
Even in fine arts, I would say when I was in my fine arts degree, there was a sense of like weird entitlement with artists where they would do that. Like, I'm not like, I had one, I was in a figure drawing class, and the guy across from me just kept drawing, but every like few minutes he'd rip the page off and throw it, or like crumple it up and throw it away. To the point, after a few minutes, he had a pile of paper around his feet. And the teacher finally came over and was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Well, I can't get the perfect line. I'm not feeling it, right, Barb?" So I'm tearing it off, and the teacher's like, Don't look, just go for it, draw, work past it, don't do the perfect line or whatever." And sometimes I feel that kind of goes into a little bit of artist thing with their drawing and they're not happy with their art. There's like, well, it's not turning out the way I want it to, so I'm not feeling it, so I got to stop. I think this little bit has to do with self-reflection on artists that always feel like they're not good enough. And so if they're doing art and it's not turning out well because they had a bad week or a bad day, then they're like, well, I don't want anyone to see this. So they don't see it as a business.
There's no such thing as the perfect line.
Exactly. No. But most artists take art personally. I think this is a thing. Artists take their work personally, and when you have to switch it to take it business-like. Right. They're not seeing the drawings they're producing as business. They're like, I don't want anyone to see this because this is my best work. This reflects
a commodity.
Me.
Well, yeah, exactly. Graphic designers do it every day, right, Dean?
Yeah. Yes. I was going to say part of it is the school and the pressure under which you were forged. So a lot of the lackadaisical slacker entitlement attitude that Barb is referring to comes from immaturity. A lot of these younger guys who are really hot shot and they made it big really fast, they feel like that rock star mentality of, hey man, I'm a genius, so I can kind of kick back and do whatever. And then a lot of guys who maybe didn't get in easily. They had to work at like an advertising gig for a while, like I did, and just churn stuff out under pressure and deadlines, or you're fired. You're not drawing, you don't get paid. That kind of stuff, that makes you deliver things. Like if your day job, if all you do is have to do a page a day, like that's all you have to do, there's no excuse to not be able to get out a page a day to do a comic book. I mean, honestly, if that's your only job, that's your one job, you have one job. Right? That's that whole saying, right? Now, I'll cut some slack to people, who have two jobs,
of course,
three. You got family, you've got this, you've got insurance. As we get older, we have to worry about things like benefits, insurance, retirement, stuff like that. So things get slower and the excuses get more legit and all that. But I'm talking about if your only job is comic books. Part of the game, I used to say this to friends of mine, part of the game is the deadline. It's kind of like playing a sport. Part of the game is that clock is going to end. You've got to make the points before the game is over with.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
I mean, it's a sports thing. That's part of the game. So you can't, like, I remember one time, I love Adam Hughes to death, but I read up on him one time. He spent like a day on a shoulder. Right. And I'm like, Adam, I'm thinking to myself, in full respect to Adam, because I love his work, but there's no way anybody's going to deliver anything if you spend all day on a shoulder. It's a beautiful shoulder, but part of the game again,
and I want to touch it.
Yeah, you're right. You've got to finish in the time allotted. It's like,
and you've got a mortgage to pay. You've got food on the table. You got kids to support. I couldn't afford to miss my deadlines.
Well, and here's the other thing I want to tell all the artists that are listening out there. Listen, when you're doing covers, you can indulge a little bit. Go a little crazy with detail. Go a little more intense. Be a little more of a diva with it. It's the cover, okay? If it's a story page, okay, learn how to go faster. It's not going to be perfect. Not every page you're going to love. Some pages you're just going to go, that was not my best work. Doesn't matter. Go to the next page. It'll get better. It'll get better. Learn ways to make your work faster because, again, storytelling pages, speed is part of the game. Speed is part of the competition. You got to be fast.
There's 100 guys behind you waiting to take your spot.
Yep.
Couple of good comments here. Rob Davis says, yes, Barb, the cult of personality. Yeah. He says, my experience is that it is happening in other professions, just not as prevalent. The idea of I'm not feeling inspired. I'm not feeling amused.
Do you think this is more of a generational thing that's happening then? I mean, we've heard about.
No, this was happening 30 years ago. So
yeah.
It's a media type of thing. It's anything in the media.
Okay, that makes more sense.
Yeah. Dempsey says, I believe people wait too long to be inspired or energized. And then he says, egos and reputations can make or break a career. And that's, I agree with that. Egos and reputations. Yeah. Because, as an editor, if someone's reputation preceded them to the fact that, hey, they're a jerk, you don't want to work with them. And I have option jerk or option, I'm not really sure. I'm going with option, I'm not really sure, because this is reputation jerk. This is reputation, I don't know. Right.
And the flip side of that coin is if you have a reputation as a workhorse, as always meet the deadline, being professional, being a nice person, not stabbing people in the back, because the old saying is for everybody you climb over to get to the top, on the way down, they're going to stomp on you.
Yeah.
What have we said before, guys? That you got to have three things, right? You got to be good. You got to be fast. You got to be nice.
That's right.
Right. Yeah. Now you need at least two of those.
Two of those things. Yeah.
To make it, one of them can drop off.
Yeah.
Like you can be nice and fast and be not so good. Right. You can be good and fast and be kind of not nice, but you're good and fast. So people turn the other way. But it's good to try for all three of those. The other thing is once you've reached a certain level of capability in your skill set, so let's say you've done a couple of years worth of professional work and you can get it out there, it's even more important to let go of the every line, every page has to be perfect, because your idea, this is very important to focus on here, your idea of the perfect panel is so far above what everybody thinks is awesome that you're wasting your time, right? You're drawing for like the top 0.01% of people are going to see your work. Like, I remember I used to do this, like when I put detail on a panel in a story page, I'd be drawing for like one of my competitors to show that I could do more detail than they could. It's like, they don't care, number one. Number two, the people that you're drawing for, if you did half that detail, they would still think it was awesome. Let it go. It's a story page. Go, 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 go.
Quentin says, good advice, Dean. And the thing I would add to that, I think, Dean, is that, you know, one question I think you have to ask yourself as the creator is, I've got a page, it's done. If I spend an extra hour on it, let's just say on a shoulder, is it going to make that page an hour more valuable? And I think, you know, in my experience, that answer 99.999% of the time is going to be no, it's not. It's not going to make that page an hour more valuable than it was before you spent all that extra hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, whatever, on that shoulder, you know?
Number two, and this dovetails from that. I have found that the pages that I was a little self-indulgent on and spent more time on were not the pages I got the most compliments on. The pages I got the most compliments on were the ones where I was so zoned out to get it done that the magic, and this is key, the magic happened by accident on its own because I wasn't trying to do it. It just happened.
So you're in the zone. You're in the zone. I mean, you look up and 5 hours have gone by and you're like, whoa.
So let me actually draw a comparison to what I tell my students. So one of the things I tell my students to do, one of their assignments in the very first week is that they have to pitch 3 stories. Okay. And then what happens, and their classmates vote on them. And so then the next week then the rest of the month, they spend their time developing the story that their classmates voted on. And I always give them this warning because this almost always happens. They're like, oh man, I've got this great idea. There's this great, here's this great idea. Here's this great idea. I've got this another idea. Okay, this is another idea then. Oh man, I need a third idea. I don't really have any third ideas. Oh man, I got to get my submission in. Oh, third idea. Guess what pitch often gets voted for?
Number 3.
The third idea, right? Because they're doing it, by the time they get to me, they're seniors, right? So they're doing it based on all the things they've learned, all the things they've trained to do. They kind of inherently know this is what I need in my story. And so it's usually boom, boom. They're not thinking, they're overthinking those first couple of pitches because they're like, oh, I'm in love with this pitch. But what happens is their brain is kicking in. They're in the zone, as you guys have said. And they write a pitch and their classmates are going, that's the one right there. And they're like, yeah, but I want this pitch. I'm in love with this other one, right?
They have a tendency to overcook it. The other two.
Yeah. All right, couple more comments here. Quentin says, the job I have is doing custom t-shirt designs and I have a schedule. It has to be done before I can leave. Roughly 7 a day average. That's it.
There you go.
You got to do it. You got to do it, right? Biddy Powell says, LOL, I am literally doing lettering while listening to you guys. So there you go, right? Custom,
appreciate it, Benny.
Yeah. Glad to see you here, man. Custom as in whatever the customer wants. That's a good, custom t-shirt designs. Okay, he says the job I have is to do custom t-shirt designs, custom as in whatever the customer wants. Rob Davis says, I was talking to my son earlier and we talked about learning to do good enough to get it done.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot to be said in that, is that you got to get it done, right?
Yes.
I was talking to a writer today, and when I went to get my MFA, right, so that I could teach creative writing, one of the things that I heard in that program a lot, and of course, you know, it's an MFA, so there's a lot of literary. I'm writing my literary novel, right? It's like, oh, I've been working on this novel for 8 years now. My first thought was like, what the heck? 8 years? What more can you do to the stupid thing, right? Get it done, get it out. I'm like,
it's in the 40th rewrite.
Right. I'm like, that is not what I do not want that. I don't want to spend 8 years working on one thing. What the heck? Partly because I got way too many ideas that got to
Yeah.
spill out, right? And I'm like, if I'm working on one thing for 8 years, then what am I going to do with all this other stuff on the back burner, right?
One thing you can do too, in terms of as a creator, you can rewire your brain to make the clock your friend. Okay.
Yeah.
So, because here's what happens. Most of us have learned, if we have too much time to noodle on something, we go off down a rabbit hole, so to speak, and you get lost sometimes, where if you're looking at the clock and you're like, I've got to design this character in the next half hour because I have to get back to the page and draw him.
Right.
Okay. Doing what he's doing. So most often the fact that you only have 30 minutes to design the character makes it a much better thing, because clean, simple, memorable silhouettes and designs are much better than the over detailed, overworked.
And
designs.
to go along with that, if you're trying to get a 1 page a day done, and you know how many panels are going to be in this page, split your day up by that many panels. So this panel's got to be done in 2 hours. I've got, 2 hours to get this one. And if you've got 5 panels and you want to get them into an 8-hour days, divide it by, 5 by 8.
I have to have a calculator, but yeah, you're right.
And guys, here's the other thing. And a lot of artists, especially starting out, because I was this way, you want to put as much detail as possible because you want to prove yourself. So part of proving yourself is more detail, more detail, more detail. Oh, look at all the details in the background. Oh, look at those bricks in the background. Oh, look at the cracks in the pavement in the background. Oh, look how many people are in the background. Oh, look at it. It's like, look, that's really just you competing with your peers. That's not you trying to figure out how to get the work done. Some people are naturally faster at putting in detail. If you can't do that fast, learn how to do silhouettes.
I was just going to say, you get out of that last half hour and you're supposed to be done for the day. It's like, okay, this panel's a silhouette.
Silhouette. Learn to do silhouettes, learn to do dramatic lighting, learn to do extreme close-ups, vary your camera angles a lot. And, a lot of times you can focus in on the action of a character, like, I don't know, turning the door handle. You don't have to draw the grain of the door. There you go. Perfect.
It's a crowd, right?
Yeah, it's a crowd. That's all you need for a crowd.
Yeah.
See, but
if you're looking at it, I know what this is. I know it's a bunch of people there.
But see, if you're starting out, Roland, and you're an artist and you're competitive and you do that, my first thought when I would draw a crowd like to be like, man, all my friends are gonna make fun of that.
I need to put bases on.
They're actually not.
There's no need to be George Perez and fill in every single thing.
Right. But see, it's a misconception. You think that your buddies are going to go, hey, man, you're getting a little lazy there, right? They're not even going to do that because they're worried about getting their stuff done.
Well, Mitch Faust might say that to you because he likes to poke you, right?
Right.
I would say Tom McFarlane said something a while ago. I'd be curious to see what he was talking about making a comic. This is more indie. I think it kind of relates a little bit to this. A lot of indie people want to make I'm going to make this comic. It's going to be 300 issues long or 200 issues long. And he was talking about, look, you're taking on too much. Instead of trying to make a huge comic, try to make the one comic, but the best, like the best one comic you can make. That, I think that kind of mindset goes into trying to break into it. And I think this is what Dean talking, this is why I've learned too, as you're getting in, being the best, putting the detail, taking the extra time on the page is what gets you in. Of course, once you're enemy deadlines, then you have to pull the attitude back. But it's really hard to let go of that attitude. I mean, you were doing your artwork to shine, to be the best. Now they go okay, now you've gotten in, now you're the best. Now you don't need to worry about that. Just get it done. But it's kind of letting go of the ego, and some people can't do that. Right. They can't go backwards.
So you're talking about the competition, Dean. So Vinnie Powell said, he goes, the thing is, people have old school competition in publishing. I find a lot where they're nice to a point, but I think that's old fashioned and wrong thinking. The main thing for me is I view everyone as not a competition. Or, I'm sorry, I view everyone as not competition, but as peers. This is why I freely give advice, because I want everyone to succeed. Rising tides raise all ships. I don't know if he's been listening very long, but this is what Curtis has been saying, which I have latched onto for us, right? Which would be nice in the Suez Canal right now. But Benny and I really, really appreciate that attitude, because I think you're right. And for me, I particularly think this is the right thing to think as independent comic book makers. I think that I do view Marvel and DC as competition, because I think primarily not that we're competing with them, because we're clearly not, right? They're clearly the major leagues and we're clearly not. But I view them that way because I still feel that we are fighting the battle, and obviously, the numbers have already scrolled off, but obviously, White Widow getting 90,000 sales,
Right.
they've achieved the victory status, right? But I feel the battle for a lot of independent comics is still convincing retailers that independent comics can compete with Marvel and DC. And so that's why I kind of view them as the competition. Now, I don't view the other independents as competition. I view them as like Benny says, like rising tide, raises all ships. And I think and I think if White Widow does well, then then the retailer is gonna say, you know what, that's White Widow was I'm gonna scroll back up here.
The last issue was 92.
Yeah, and I was looking for the imprint name again. I am so sorry.
7 minutes to go.
I'm sorry. Absolute Comics Group, right? And the retailers are going to say Absolute Comics Group. That's not Marvel and DC. Let me look at other stuff that Absolute does. Let me look at other not Marvel and DCs. Okay, 7 minutes to go. I still see. Hold on, let me get over here to the real time here. 3128. Is that right? Oh no, I'm sorry. I updated here.
Sorry.
3270 with 85 backers. We still need 15 to go. So you 15 are going to have to act awful quickly in the next 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
To help us get to that 100 backer count. You can do it. We have confidence in you. We know that you can do it. Benny says, well, even for Marvel, DC, etc., I want them to succeed as well, because that helps the retailers as well. And I feel retailers are getting more sophisticated overall. Possibly, and I can appreciate you feel that way. I do. I'm not sure I do. And I might be convinced of that over time, but I'm not.
Do you think if for some odd reason Marvel and DC really pulled back in the comic book shops, like the floppies are pulled back to more, do you think the indies could help save comic shops? Do you think,
yes,
in other words, because Marvel and DC, so many comic shops, literally their survival is based on the big two, do you think they would, because I think they can survive diversifying the books and stuff, because I've seen it, but I don't think
the larger indies I think are selling as much, if not more, than Marvel and DC are right now.
But I do understand the retailers' fear that you will lose some customers that just buy the big two, unless you can sell them on indies. And so I understand that a little bit. I don't know. That's kind of that's a conflict.
You see She and White Widow and Lady Death. Those are massively successful.
Yes. Right.
And they're leading the way, I think.
Yeah.
In a revolution.
Yeah. I think so too. And hopefully, Vinny said he thinks the retailers are getting more sophisticated overall. I hope so. I think that retailers need to be more informed. I think there have been too many of them that just said, "Give me my catalog. Let me X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman. Just check down the list."
Yeah.
And then they stop. Right? They stop right there because it. And again, I know that it takes a lot of time, but there's a lot of time investment. But we're talking about the health of our shared industry.
Yeah. I think it'd be better. I'm saying it would be better. It would just be, I can see a lot of comic book retailers getting scared of like that sort of falter of confidence. Like if they lose the income of the big two, that their shops could fold.
Well, and I think that's a very real fear.
Yeah. So
you gotta look at they. I think there's a lot of retailers just look at Marvel and DC. Okay, this is my guarantees. I know I'm going to sell some of these. I know I'm going to sell these, or if not all of them, most of them.
Yeah,
that's kind of their. They're like, this is my guarantees. Just like Spawn is a guarantee. Just like
right.
Yeah.
but you know what? When Spawn first came out, it wasn't a guarantee. It was we don't know if we're going to get our Spawn, right? Because they haven't, I mean, Todd was pretty good, but some of those other guys had already they had proven themselves to be unreliable as far as deadlines. And those Image books, they did not all ship on time early on, and this is what burned a lot of the retailers, right? It's like, I ordered this, and I'm making up titles because I don't remember which ones shipped late 30 years later, 25 years later, right? But hey, I ordered that issue of Brigade for January. It's June. I still don't have my issue of Brigade, but I paid for all of those issues of Brigade.
Right.
I can't take that money and spend it on something else that's already out. So I think I think they're gun shy when it comes to something. They don't know that if Silverline's in the catalog, they don't know that, hey, I don't know if I'm going to get that book or not. Right.
And do you think that would be because indies, I am sorry for all the indie creators, sometimes you guys, indies are notorious for not finishing things, not even being late. Like there's been lots of issue 1s, they maybe make it to issue 2, and then it just fizzles.
Yeah.
So retailers, I mean,
86
thinking
backers,
about going back to the old days
left.
where like going back to the old days where things are going to be late again, because indies sometimes, and I'm not blaming indies for being lazy. I'm saying most people doing indies are doing it, is not always sometimes a full-time job, and a lot of life gets in the way where they can't always finish these things or whatever. But I don't think many retailers want to go back to the days, like you said, ordering books and 6 months later, where are my books? And do they have a fear a little bit of that? Because indies sometimes have that reputation a little bit.
Well, all we can do as Silverline is make it our policy. We don't solicit until the book is done, and that becomes a forward policy that they understand. They make a deal with us. They know going in the books are done. They don't solicit until their books are done.
Yeah,
and it could be a huge benefit to us. It could be a huge, selling point to Silverline and stuff. Yeah.
We ship within a month after a Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So.
And we could probably do it quicker than that. Well, actually, we could do it quicker than that if it didn't take 2 weeks to get our Kickstarter money.
Yeah.
But it takes us 2 weeks to get our Kickstarter money, so we've got to wait on that before placing our orders. Benny says one of the best teachers are webcomics for this type of training, talking about schedules and everything. If you have a schedule you set, you just keep that going, just do it and don't look back. And the webcomic guys that did that daily grind are now masters. Yeah. But then he says back. Thank you, Benny. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. By the way, if we didn't say it, Benny, the books are done.
Yeah. The only thing I would.
So we're down to I'm sorry, guys. We're down to seconds now. We still got
30
time
seconds.
afterwards. We got 86 backers, 32.78, 27 seconds to go. So I know there's somebody out there who's saying, do I back it? Do I not back it? Do I back? I don't know what to back it. It's done.
Back it now.
Back it now.
Yeah.
It's done. The only way you're going to get those Kickstarter exclusive covers is to back the Kickstarter. That's it. That's the only way you're going to get it. You can't get those covers anymore after that. 4 seconds, 3 seconds. Look at Barb's counting down. 2 seconds, 1 second. Okay. If you didn't back it, you can't get those covers. Thank you so much for the 86 backers that pledged $32.78 to help bring this project to life. Thank you guys so very much.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah. John and Aaron are both very excited. Aaron Penciler, John the Inker of Friar Rush.
Awesome.
And by the way, did we mention it's done?
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah, I'm always excited about Kickstarter getting funded and everything. I'm like a kid.
Yeah. Oh, me too. I'm like that way when I get the books too.
Yeah, it's always fun to get the books. When I get the package in the mail that says Silverline,
I'll smell them too.
I'm not really happy with the ones that are ticking. Those are the ones Roland likes to send for fun. But the other ones are fun.
Did you open that? Actually, it was. I wasn't sure you would open that. The one that was ticking.
I'm missing fingers. Yeah, open it.
I was hoping for a video on that one.
A video.
Thank you, Brett. You can move it now. Now that it's done. He highlighted it. Thank you, Brett. Benny Powell says, "Do you guys use Backer Kit?" No, don't use Backer Kit. As you can see, we don't really get enough that I can justify using Backer Kit. I've looked at it multiple times, and I think there's a lot to it. maybe if we get, maybe in a year, if we can get our numbers to creep on up, we might do it. The other good thing is, Kickstarter just added the add-ons for all of us. And so that's been able to do some stuff that one of the strengths I thought BackerKit had over was the ability to do all the add-ons. But now that I can do that on Kickstarter, is not as important. Dempsey said that is great numbers for the Kickstarter. Thank you, Dempsey. Yeah, so it's exciting.
This is number 10, isn't it?
This is 10. Yeah. Now we haven't fulfilled it yet. So
yes, but we're 10 for 10 funded.
Yes, yep. We're 10 for 10 funding. And within the month, 5 weeks, we'll be able to say we're 10 for 10 for fulfillment as well. So because the books are done, in case we didn't mention that.
And in May, we've got another one, and Divinity will be kickstarting.
Yes,
Divinity number 2.
Divinity is going to be one of number 2, and I'm going to let the Wednesday guy, Wednesday Wham, announce the other one for that. So I know they're fine. They're excited about that. Hyper Potato says a perfect 10. Thank you, Hyper. We are very excited about that. Yes, we are a perfect 10, and that's very, very exciting. So now we just got it. So we're 10 for 10 for funding, just got to get 10 for 10 for the shipping. Benny says one of the keys would be a variety of tiers. We have as many as 80 different levels. Pain in the butt, but it seems to help. Yeah, I mean we've done a lot of those. I don't know about 80. We never had 80 tiers. We got close a couple of times when we had a lot of the artwork. Thank you, Benny. I appreciate the congrats. And he said they totally stole that concept from Polito's lead. Yeah, I before I started doing these Kickstarters at all, I really I spent some time with Brian and Jimmy Palmiotti, who was running a lot of Kickstarters at the time. He doesn't do so many now. But I basically just said, let me pick your brains, and they were both very, very generous with their time and their advice to me about running them. Thomas Schwarmani sent a big thumbs up. I guess that's a dragon. It kind of looks like a turd. I'm not sure what that is.
It's a dinosaur.
Hyper Potato says we need a Dean commission level on a Kickstarter so I can get a Sergeant Rock from him. Hyper Potato, I can tell you this. I will make sure there's a Dean commission level on Silverblade. Okay. Yes. If there's not, Hyper, I will tell you right now, I will drive to Memphis and I will punch Dean in the gut if he doesn't do it.
I don't know if you want to do that.
I'll do it.
Why?
Bring it on. You can still punch me in the gut if you want, but I'm going to do it.
Okay, yeah. I'm not going to punch you in the gut if you're yeah.
Well, I think it's just if he doesn't do it.
Dean has the capabilities of ripping your arm off. Don't punch Dean in the gut.
Hey, listen. I can run. All I can say. Shut up.
No, you can't.
The audience didn't hear that, but that was his son.
My son said, "No, you can't." So I can punch Dean because my arms are long and I can run. I know that Dean can black belt my head.
I think Dean's quicker.
3 ways to Sunday. So.
No, I just think if he doesn't deliver, you just give him his baby Yoda.
I wouldn't punch Dean. Dean's my brother. I love.
There you go.
Hyper Brigade says no violence on my behalf.
Yeah.
So Hyper, you just got to remember now, because those commissions are going to go fast, so you're going to have to pull the trigger quickly on this one. Because Dean and I have had these long conversations about these things, right? And I don't know that he's 100% on board with me on this, but we've talked about it. I'm like, Dean, you can always be offering the commissions online because that makes them easily available. You want, because Dean's a commodity. You guys know this, right? So if you only offer your commissions on the Kickstarters, then it becomes a hot property, a hot thing. But if anybody can get them anywhere, I can just send Dean an email, then they're not quite as hot. So yeah, we've had some discussions about this.
Oh yeah.
Dean listens to me and he goes, "Thank you, brother. I love you, man."
What about a penciled commission with inks?
Yeah, Hyper, you listening to that? A penciled commission with inks. I don't think I have a Barb Dean thing I can hold up here.
Yes, you do.
In my possession? Oh, I got to take my earbuds off. I think I know what you're talking about.
Check that out.
Yeah, right there.
I'd be willing.
Are we talking about a Divinity cover?
No, I'm talking about if he. Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, we are talking about it.
Potato says yes, Barb. He would like that.
I'm talking about a commission for Silverblade. If you wanted it, we could do the level tier where I would throw in the inks.
There we go, right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, for Divinity.
No, for Silverblade.
Oh, so here we go.
Yeah.
This is
Sure.
this is the Barb
Barb Dean combo.
Barb Dean
That's the
combo.
Divinity.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cover
Just
for
think,
Divinity.
you could get Dean to
Yeah.
draw it and Barbara to trace over it. I mean, ink over it. I'm sorry.
No.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
I think she
Hyper
was
said-
savvy when she
Hyper
meets
said,
you in
"Yes,
person.
She's like, I hope we never see you at a
That's
convention,
awesome.
punk.
And Harper said, "That's so good looking, great art." You know
Yeah.
what? I never
Thank you.
thought about that. That's an interesting idea to add.
That would be a whole separate tier.
Well, we'll have to talk about this off stream, how we can make this work. Because part of it's going to be the added cost of shipping from penciler to inker. But I mean, that we might can make this work where, especially if it's an add-on already, because I really do like the add-ons on Kickstarter, you guys. Now's going to be a little bit of test to see how easy it is to work with in fulfillment. Because as I know Barb saw my screen the other day, it's not the easiest to figure out what add-ons are gone when I'm looking at the Kickstarter. But now that it's over, I don't know what kind of report I'm going to be able to get from Kickstarter to see, because if you add it on, and I know there's we had a couple of backers that were like added on every comic book that we did, but I'm thankful because that means, hey, they missed the other stuff. They're coming on now, and they're filling their back issues, right? So
Yeah, that's nice.
yeah, I like that. I like that quite a bit. Let's see here. Yeah, great looking. Dempsey says, "Wow, that is awesome." So yeah, I think so. Excuse me. So all right. So that's the Kickstarter. Anything else about professionalism, guys?
Don't be an
If anybody
asshole.
wants to belch right now, this would be
You
the
know-
perfect time.
Barb, it's so funny that you would say that. Because one of the things I used to a long time ago, hyper Barb nailed it. You're absolutely right, and I think Hyper is one of the, I know I won't reveal a secret identity, but I know who Hyper is, and Hyper is one of those that Hyper supports creators. And I've noticed the creators that he's I just revealed sex, right? But I've said it. I've noticed the creators that he supports, and they're always the nice ones. They're always the nice guys. I've never seen him support one of the jerks or one of the people I look at and go, man, that guy's a jerk, right? Never seen that. Not saying he doesn't. I haven't seen it.
This is why nobody buys my
he's
stuff.
very vocal about. I've told you, don't be a jerk, dude. But one of the things I was going to say, in class, I used to have a lot of writers come and talk to my students, right? And I had about 30 of them. So I did this for a period of about almost 3 years. And the most common piece of advice they would get, now always different terminology. I had Frank Thierry on one time. And if you guys know Frank Thierry, his language was very colorful. He and John would be able to do colorful language together.
What's so wrong about being?
I didn't say it was wrong. I just said it was colorful. The point is this was the most common feedback or piece of advice in different terms, but the most common feedback advice was, don't be a jerk. That was it. I mean, you
what
could
does
say,
it gain you?
Yeah,
What does it gain you? Except a bad reputation.
Yeah.
And it doesn't cost you anything to be a nice person.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it pays back dividends. It really does, because like we said, if you're not that good or you're not that fast, but you're consistently nice, people remember that.
Yeah. Well, I remember Dean's told the story before. I remember meeting Dean, and it was at the copy shop, right?
Yep.
And not only was Dean's art good, but he was nice. He was a nice guy. We had a very pleasant conversation. he was a nice guy, and I'm like, you know what, this is a guy, I like his art, I'm gonna remember him when I get out there. I mean, I didn't have anything when I was the rookie guy, right? But I'm like, this is a guy I like. He's nice. He's from Mississippi, right? I'm gonna remember him when I get out there. And it happened as it happened. I was able to do that. I really can't remember if you sent me something later, but I think you made copies for me right then, didn't you?
I made copies for you right then.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And the other thing I did was, and I don't know how many of your artists were doing this at the time, but I sent you some really detailed layouts for like the first issue of the fair. I mean, you got like really rendered layouts.
Oh yeah, the thumbnails.
Yeah. Before you said like, okay, you don't really have to do those anymore. We got you. Yeah. But I mean, it's like one of those things where, gosh, man, this is taking a lot of time. And it was one of those things where I wanted to build that trust.
Yeah.
But once you saw that, and that goes dividends, because again, that's how relationships get built. That's also how relationships fell apart when editorial stopped. And this was not in your control, but in other companies, when editors in the editorial department started just abandoning artists that had worked very hard to build relationships with them, and they were just like, sorry, not anymore. That made it really tough.
Yeah. I got caught up in that. And still I didn't, part on bad terms.
No.
And Dee and I, you and I had this conversation. A lot of that is not always within the control of editorial.
Absolutely.
A lot of times, because I remember in the case of one book in particular, like with you, I was basically said, we're going to cancel this, or I was told we're going to cancel this book. You've got a shot to save it. That means you need to replace your and the artist is always the first one to go, because it's visual. It's a visual thing. And so, you're kind of given the choice, and the choice was really not in my hands, because it was in it was the editor-in-chief's hands. It's like,
sure,
we're either going to cancel the book or you're going to find a new art team. As your boss, I'm telling you, you're going to find a new art team, right? So I'm like, okay, I gotta find a new art team.
Well, it all turned out great though, because then I ended up getting, another gig for a bigger company, which doesn't need to be mentioned, because we're not pushing them. But it was a big company, and it was a big character, and it all turned out for the best. But it's still it's important though. It's a tough industry, and you gotta just roll with the times that don't go your way, and don't let it sour you and turn you cynical, because I've seen that happen to people. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And I had a case where I worked on a book for 2 years with the same team, and then they scrapped the entire team and brought in an entirely new team. 6 months down the road, they're behind.
Yeah.
Barb, can you come and fill in?
On the book that you fired me off of.
Yeah. And because I left on good terms, you never slam the door behind you, because you never know when you need to open it back up again.
And a lot of times, if a new editor, if an editor changes books, the new editor is going to bring in their stable, right? Their people.
Always.
Benny Powell added, he goes, you also never know who someone might become. All right, you're talking about not being a jerk.
It's true.
Yep.
That's why I say you don't step on people on the way up, because you don't know who they're going to become.
That's right. Yeah.
Who are going to pass on the way down.
Way back when I started at Marvel in the mid-90s, I had this guy we called the Kid, who kept coming into the comics forums way back on CompuServe and asking the working pros questions. I was always nice to this kid. Years later, he founded KeenSpot. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to go look at he gives a link, keenspot.com.
I already have it pulled up.
And what is it?
It's the spot for comics. KeenSpot, the spot for comics.
Okay, cool. And then Benny says, I owe my entire career to the kindness of pros like Al Williamson and Archie Goodwin. Hyper Potato said, this goes back to, when I was telling you about Hyper Potato, that he's always saying nice things. He says, when people are good to me, I try to spread the word and drum up business. When folks are ugly, I warn my friends to stay away. Simple. And I will tell you guys this, Hyper Hyper is very diligent about spreading the Silverline word. I've seen it, I've witnessed it with my own eyes, and I know it to be a fact. So thank you, Hyper. Very much appreciate you doing that. And so, yes, we are going to make sure that you can get you a Sergeant Rock commission from Dean.
Yes.
Going to make it happen.
GameSpot looks like it's really big on indies.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Everything I see on here right now, on the first page that pop up, it all looks like indie books.
Well, it's funny because someone asked me at the show today, because we were talking, as you might imagine, about the Marvel Diamond thing, and they're like, "Well, you wouldn't do this and this, would you?" And my response is like, "Why would I not do that and that? Why would I why would I limit the potential of the audience? Why would I only say I'm only going to go here but not here, and then not service? This doesn't make any sense to me. You guys already know this, but for any of you listening, we will take Silverline anywhere that someone wants to carry our books. We're not going to be, unless someone pays us a whole lot of money, which I know it's not going to happen. We're not going to be exclusive. We want to get our books into the hands of as many people as possible, and that means as many social media platforms. That means as many distribution outlets as we can, because we want to get the books around. We do these because we enjoy this stuff, and we want you to see them and read them. Thomas Formonti said, can you really get fired off a book that you don't own? It's all work for hire. It hurts and sucks, but
laid off.
I guess he's kind of got a point.
You get laid off.
You get laid off.
Yeah. And Benny said KeenSpot was at one point the #1 webcomic portal. Oh, okay. It's now a publisher doing several books a month. And Hyper says it's the same KeenSpot that published Trump's Titans. I don't know the answer to that. He has a question mark. He says they published some interesting looking stuff. Okay, so there you go. Okay. Benny said they published books, and Hyper says they look interesting. So something that we might check out. Guys, it's 11:03. What a fun time tonight.
Yeah.
Thanks
for inviting me, Roland.
Absolutely, Dean. Thanks for jumping on, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Benny's going to need to join us more too.
But yeah, we're gonna have to get Benny on here and talk about.
I was gonna say that after we got off. I was like, we really should get Benny on here.
Yeah. So I'll send you a message, Benny. So yeah, there you go. Dipsy says great stream. Hyper Potato says like and subscribe. Thank you, Hyper, for reminding me of that. Please go to all of our appropriate social media places. Silverline on Facebook, Silverline Comics. Please like and follow on YouTube, like and subscribe. We are also on Twitch right now, so follow us there. Here's one of the reasons I haven't got this crew to use enough Twitch. One of the reasons I like Twitch is that you can go on Twitch and you can get like a little 60-second segment called a clip. If there's a little 60 seconds of something that was fun, like I clipped the time when Pete talked about Barb stabbing people in the throat and spit my coke out, right? Just because I thought it was very funny. And so you could go on and make little clips, but the only thing is that the videos are only up for 2 weeks. So this stream tonight will be up for 14 days and then it's gone. So you got to get up and make your clips pretty quick. But you guys should do that. If there's something that happens during the middle of the stream, then you're like, oh, that was a fun little thing. Let's clip that. Go do that because the clips stay around forever. So yeah, this was fun. We didn't talk about professionalism terribly a lot, but we covered enough of it, I think.
The important stuff.
Yeah, the important stuff, and we certainly talked about Marvel and Diamond and that kind of thing. So shout out to Daytona Beach Comic Con for being one of our sponsors. Any of you in the Central Florida, heck, all over the U.S., make your plans to come to Daytona Beach Comic Con September 18th and 19th. September 18th and 19th, if you're up in the north, it's going to be getting chilly. You're going to want to hit the beach anyway. So make your vacation plans. Come down here. Go to the House of Mouse. While you're, after you're at the House of Mouse, go on up to Daytona. It's only like an hour away, maybe an hour and a half, right? If you're on the I-4 Speedway, then it's really just an hour. And then you can go to Daytona Beach Comic Con, which is one of our sponsors. and we appreciate that. Barb, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Look for Barbara Kailberg under my name on Facebook, Twitter, DeviantArt, and Instagram.
And that is a sweet looking shirt you've got on tonight, Barb.
Yes.
John, the Viking Prince Voltan, Martin, where can folks find you online?
Well, they can find me under that name. They can also find me under the Artistic Viking, whether it be on Twitter or Instagram. I am actually now on TikTok.
Ooh!
Oh,
You're making some TikToks, huh?
I am, and it's artwork.
Cool.
Oh, what a bummer! I thought you'd be dancing.
Dude,
I want to see John twerking. Did I say that out loud? I don't really want to see
John
twerking. I don't want to see John twerking. I didn't mean that.
BJ,
these videos are recorded, right? They're aired live.
Yes, they're live.
Hey, Benny Powell says, "Does he dance?"
I'm gonna do cartwheels if the money is high enough. Crap! I lost my train of thought.
You're on TikTok and you're twerking on TikTok.
Negative. I'm on TikTok, but I'm not twerking. I'm also getting ready for SC Comic-Con in Greenville, South Carolina, which is April 17th and 18th. My commission list is open, whether you want a pre-show commission or you don't. If you want me to mail it to you, I can mail it to you.
Hyper says, naked Viking dancing.
Wow.
Lord have mercy. I don't want to see that. Look,
Dempsey says, I'll be heading to Orlando soon. Dempsey, I think we're gonna meet up, man.
Some of these folks know one of the jobs I used to have.
Oh,
you don't want to see that.
Naked Viking dancing?
No. I used to manage a club.
He was a
pole
bouncer
dancing.
You used to manage a club of dancing naked Vikings? I'm not Fox.
John's like, if I was there, I would smack you all.
This is why we give him, we do this to him online.
Well,
so he can't get to us.
It's because Curtis is not here for you to interrupt, Aaron.
I know. I'm missing him. Poor guy.
Yes.
He's going through withdrawal.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully Curtis will be back soon. Pete's out, not feeling well. So hopefully Pete will be feeling better and will be able to rejoin us. I suspect Pete will probably listen to us in the morning. So we missed you, Pete. We missed you, Curtis. We missed you, Roberta. Happy birthday to Roberta.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah.
I'm gonna end with thanking everybody for backing the Kickstarter and helping us be 10 for 10 funded again.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Oh, I almost forgot. I will be doing I'm also streaming tomorrow night with my sketch hangout with Anna Zhao.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Excellent. So tune in tomorrow night to watch John sketching with Anna Zhao. That's 7:00 Central, John?
It's going to be 8:00 Central.
8:00 Central. All right. So
yes.
Mark it down on your calendar so that you don't miss that. Aaron, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Instagram at ALH3810. That's my handle. Facebook under Aaron Humphreys or Humphreys Illustration. The Webtoons, where I post my comic Godlings, which I'll be posting issue 10, which is done.
Woohoo!
And so that'll be starting.
Only two
tomorrow.
more.
Yeah, two more. I had 2 more out of 12. It is, and maybe just for fun, I've thought about collecting all the pages of this and showing it, and it is quite 300, almost 300 pages is quite a stack.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah, so I'll be curious to see. It's always fun to look at volume.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I'm starting to post that tomorrow on Webtoons, issue 10, and I've already starting page 3 of issue 11 tonight, so I've already started.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'm already going. So.
What is it they say about the 10,000 hours thing? How does that translate over into pages? Is it like 1,000 pages or something like that? Right?
Yeah, it's like 10,000 hours, so I should be a master by now.
Right? Yeah.
And,
yeah.
I don't feel like it, So my ego's well deserved. No, it's not.
And Dino, my brother. Thank you for joining us tonight, man. Thank you for jumping in.
My pleasure. My
Good
pleasure.
to hang out with you, man.
Yes, yes. You guys can find me on Facebook under Dean Zachary and Dean Zachary Artist, also Deviant Art, also Comic Art Fans, and soon to be on some of the other social media outlets that you guys have mentioned. And the most important thing I can offer to listeners is always, if you're a creator, always be creative without calculation. It's beyond calculation. Don't try to second guess. Be genuine. Make it from the heart. Make it genuine. Always.
Excellent. Very cool. And remember, guys, join us. Our Wednesday. Dean is part of the Wednesday Wham group. Silverline will be back on Wednesday at 9 p.m. And until then, you guys know what to do. Remember
Make
to
mine
Make
Silverline.
mine Silverline.
All right. Good night, everybody.